On the evening of March 14, 2009, a landline inside a small ranch house in the Midwest registered a single incoming call at 9:47 p.m. The call lasted 6 seconds. No one picked up. The house belonged to a woman named Carol Hendricks. She was 62 years old. She lived alone. Her neighbors described her as pleasant, predictable. She walked her dog every morning at 7. She collected her mail around noon. On March 15th, the dog was still inside the house. The mail had not been collected. A neighbor noticed the porch light was on during the day. That was unusual. Carol always turned it off in the morning. The neighbor knocked. No answer. She called the non-emergency line. Officers arrived at 3:10 p.m. They knocked. They announced themselves. They checked the windows. The curtains were drawn. The doors were locked. They obtained permission to enter. Inside, the house was neat. The kitchen was clean. A mug sat on the counter. There was still coffee in it, cold. The television was on in the living room. The volume was low. A local news broadcast was playing. Carol Hendricks was not in the living room. She was not in the kitchen. She was not in the bedroom. Officers found her in the basement. She was seated in a folding chair. Her hands were in her lap. Her head was tilted slightly forward. There were no signs of struggle. There were no visible injuries. The medical examiner arrived at 5:40 p.m. Preliminary findings indicated she had been deceased for approximately 18 to 20 hours. Cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation. Manner of death was listed as undetermined. There were no ligature marks, no signs of force, no foreign objects. The basement door had been locked from the inside. Investigators reviewed the scene. They photographed every surface. They collected fingerprints. They found Carol's prints. They found no one else's. Her phone records were requested. The last outgoing call had been made 2 days prior. It was to her sister in another state. The conversation lasted 11 minutes. Her sister said nothing seemed wrong. The only incoming call in the last 48 hours was the one at 9:47 p.m. on March 14th. It came from a payphone. The payphone was located outside a gas station 19 miles away. Investigators pulled security footage from the gas station. The camera faced the pumps. It did not face the payphone. No one remembered seeing anyone use it that night. The call had lasted 6 seconds. Long enough to hear ringing, not long enough for a conversation. Carol's sister was interviewed. She said Carol had mentioned feeling watched a few weeks earlier. She said a car had been parked across the street one afternoon. It stayed for about an hour. Then it left. Carol never mentioned it again. Police canvassed the neighborhood. No one recalled seeing an unfamiliar vehicle. A postal worker was interviewed. He said Carol had been receiving her mail normally. Nothing unusual. No strange packages. No letters without return addresses. He did mention that on March 12th, 2 days before the call, Carol had asked him if he'd noticed anyone around her mailbox. She didn't elaborate. He told her he hadn't seen anything. She thanked him and went back inside. Investigators checked with the utility companies. Carol's water and electricity usage showed no irregularities in the days. Leading up to March 14th, her garbage had been taken to the curb on schedule. A trash collection worker recalled seeing it there on the morning of March 13th. He said the bin was lighter than usual. He didn't think much of it at the time. Her computer was examined. Her browsing history was routine. News sites, recipe blogs, local weather. Her email contained nothing unusual. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no damaged locks. The back door had a keyed deadbolt. It was engaged from the inside. Every window was latched. Investigators returned to the basement. The folding chair had been positioned in the center of the room, directly beneath a support beam. There was a small hook screwed into the beam. It was old, rusted. It had been there for years. Nothing was hanging from it. Carol's daughter arrived from out of state. She walked through the house with investigators. She said nothing appeared to be missing. She said her mother kept the basement tidy. She used it for storage. She said the folding chair was usually kept against the wall. The daughter was asked if her mother had been depressed. She said no. She was asked if her mother had seemed afraid. She paused. She said her mother had mentioned the phone ringing late at night a few times in recent weeks. When Carol answered, no one spoke. Just silence. Then the line would disconnect. Carol thought it was a wrong number. The daughter also mentioned that Carol had started locking her bedroom door at night. This was new. It had started sometime in February. Carol said it helped her sleep better. She didn't explain why. A journal was found in Carol's nightstand. It contained routine entries, grocery lists, appointments, reminders to call her daughter. On March 10th, she had written a single line. Heard footsteps on the porch at 2 a.m. Checked. No one there. There was no entry for March 11th or after. Investigators spoke with Carol's primary care physician. He said she had been in good health. No major illnesses. No prescriptions for anxiety or depression. Her last appointment had been in January. It was routine. She had mentioned trouble sleeping but declined medication. She said she preferred to handle it on her own. A neighbor 2 houses down recalled something he hadn't thought was relevant. He said that about a week before Carol died, he'd seen someone standing near the side of her house one evening. It was around dusk. He assumed it was a repair person or a friend. He didn't get a good look. When he glanced back a few minutes later, no one was there. He never mentioned it to Carol. He told investigators he regretted that now. The dog, a 12-year-old terrier, was taken in by Carol's daughter. The veterinarian who examined the dog said it appeared healthy, slightly dehydrated. It had been without food or water for over 24 hours. Otherwise, it was fine. The daughter said the dog had always slept in Carol's bedroom. On the night of March 14th, the dog was found in the kitchen. The bedroom door had been closed. Carol never closed that door. The case remained open for 4 months. No additional evidence was recovered. No witnesses came forward. The phone company confirmed the March 14th call originated from the payphone. No other calls from that location were made to Carol's number. The payphone was removed in 2011. On July 22, 2009, the case was officially closed. Cause of death remained asphyxiation. Manner of death remained undetermined. Carol's house was sold the following year. The new owners said they never had any problems. They said it was quiet. The phone line was disconnected before they moved in.